Morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to the Aggie Pridecast. We are back here with another wonderful show. We are all shut in, but we are excited about having some exciting Aggie athletes and coaches on our show. And with us today, we have the women's and men's tennis program headed by head coach William Crutchfield. And with us today, we have the MEAC Rookie of the Year from last year, Vasil Ivanov. And we also have women's tennis player Florelvis Hurtado with us here today. And so welcome, guys.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. I also have with me my co-host, Spencer Turkin, and we wanted to have you guys on here because we think you guys are a very unique situation because I think you guys are still on campus here at North Carolina A&T, being that you're international student athletes. And so we just kind of wanted to get your perspective from about this pandemic that we're in right now, and also get some inside information on the men's and women's tennis program and how it's progressing. And so, Coach Crutchfield, we'll start with you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background. I think you've forgotten more tennis than I know, so just tell the people, who you are and how you got to A&T.
Name is William Crutchfield, and I've been coaching for several years. I actually wrote a book about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was working with a player in Charlotte, North Carolina, and she happened to be recruited from North Carolina A&T. So when she came to A&T, I still work with her over the summer months, and one day she called me and said that her coach lost his job. And I said, "Why'd you call me? Do you want me to coach there or something?" She said, "Yeah, would you?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I would." And contacted Miss Hilton, came in for an interview, and he hired me that day. The program has come a long way. The men's team was down for about 9 years. They canceled the men's team and they brought it back about 5 years ago. And we started building. We've had players there, here. We've been transitioning from what they knew into what it is that I know, trying to teach them. And we went through some recruiting, few recruiting seasons where basically at one time I could only get one player per year. Literally stumble upon. I got a video from Vasil Ivanov, and I usually, when I watch videos, what I do is I look for two things. I look for the footwork and I listen to the bounce of the ball, because I can't tell on a video whether the ball is in or out. I can, but that's not a good way to judge the ability of the player. So I look for the bounce of the ball. I listen for the bounce of the ball, and I look for the footwork of the player. And that gives me an indication whether he or she could play on this level. What I look for is whether the racket is back, prepped fast enough before the ball hits the ground. Then I know that they can play on hard court play. I look for also is, of course, GPA. But Vasil's video, I literally stopped it after the first couple of shots. I think it was maybe 10, 15 seconds into the video, and I stopped the video. I listened to the sound of the ball, and I fast forwarded to the point play, and I decided right then that, hey, that's the player that I would like to spend my only one recruiting scholarship on. And so I went after him, and we talked. I actually didn't have enough money to recruit him, but we talked for probably a year during the recruiting seasons. And he decided to come to our school, and we're fortunate to have him. Flora Elvis, I'll let her tell her story. She too was impressive as far as her game is concerned. And what I look for too is, whether the player can win. Pretty much wins on any level gives you some indication that they can win on another level if given the opportunity to. So Flora Elvis is a part of the first full recruiting class that I've had since I've been a coach. I was able to recruit 3 players, actually 4 players on the women's side. And Flora Elvis, as you probably hear her story, it was an emotional roller coaster, but she's quite a talent. She's from Venezuela, and Vasil's from Bulgaria. I used to get Bolivia, Bulgaria. Even accused me of saying he was from Boston, anything with a B on it. But we have good talent here. We were making a move towards winning our first MEAC championship on both the men and women's side, but our season was cut short. And so now these players are dealing with cabin fever. But one advantage of starting back next year, they all will know the system, and they all know what to expect as far as how to play Aggie tennis.
Flora Elvis, from Venezuela, things back home for you, I know that there was some turmoil back in Venezuela even before all this started. How is your family holding up, and do you get to hear from them during all this?
They're doing well because the situation back there is really hard because our president is bad, the whole situation in the country is bad. But they're trying to stay at home and not going out that many times. And I'm trying to call them every time that I can during the day so we keep the communication and be sure we're safe. Well,
Vasil, for you, has it been difficult or easy to stay in touch with family back in Bulgaria?
I've been in touch with my family almost every day, so they're doing fine. All of them are staying at home because there's a lockdown back home. But overall, they're fine. They're still working, and yeah, they're expecting me to go back home.
Coach, I wanted to ask you what about the makeup of both your teams? You are the men's and women's tennis coach that made you really believe they have a real shot at winning the MEAC this season.
Well, the chemistry of both teams these people not only can play, but they get along very well together. Tennis, as you know, is an individual sport. And we've had some additional help from Dejan Bibbins, who was a scholar athlete and actually ranked #1 in 18 and unders his junior when he was in high school, and from Charlotte, North Carolina, and #1 in the state of North Carolina. He had a very successful college career, and he's our assistant coach. And with Dejan's help, I was able to isolate the top 4 or top 3 players on the men's side. And I can work with the rest of the team. So we had a nucleus of coaching staff that we can separate and give these individuals in this individual sport individualized attention. And that's one of the missing links. And people don't understand about college tennis. They say, well, you only have 15 players. Surely you could just coach them all. But it's 6 players, 6 single matches and 3 doubles matches. And 2 teams is 50 matches a year. Multiply 9 is 450 matches that I'm responsible coaching for. And we saw the move early on in the year that both teams reached a point of where we were last year at spring break. Usually at spring break, we reached the point of peak, and now it's time to play. All the practice or everything is over. We're going right into conference play. From the first week of the fall season, we were already at spring break mode, and spring break was several months away. And that gave us a little indication of how good we were going to be for the following spring season.
Vasil, I wanted to ask you, and I'm going to ask Flora Elvis the same thing. What is it like for you, knowing that this is going on, this pandemic is going on, but you are away from home? How tough is that for you, trying to get through this while all this is going on in the world?
Yeah, I would say personally, I think it's kind of tough because staying here by myself, away from my family in this serious situation. I find it difficult, but right now I'm getting used to it. I'm waiting. Hopefully, I get my flight and go back home, like in May.
And for my side, it's really tough too, because for me, it's the first time that I'm alone, without my family, without my parents. So having this situation really scared me a little bit. But as Brazil, I'm getting used to it. I'm trying to run outside or play some tennis sometimes. That's what I'm trying to, and that's how I handle this situation. But I wish I could be with my family, but I can't because there are no flights to Venezuela right now for the situation. So I'm just going to a friend's house once the campus is
Uh, that's a great point. How much of an opportunity do you get to work out? How much of an opportunity do you get to work on your craft? While we're going through this situation.
For us, the courses are open here in the university, so we are able to go as many times as we can on the day. And to running is the same because it's inside of the campus. Every time that I have a chance, I go.
What about you, Fasil? How often do you get out to the courts?
Almost every day. I'm working out almost every day. Yeah.
Now, tennis is a kind of sport where you can stay 6 feet apart and still compete. Is there some competition going on?
I would say no, just practicing, like doing reps and stuff that can improve my game overall. And yeah, actually, the thing with the social distancing, back home, they're allowing sports like tennis to be played because, there isn't a contact. It's not a contact sport.
Coach, you've added a lot of international players to your roster, 6 on the men's side and 4 on the women's side, if I'm correct. What is it like to try and recruit internationally, especially with everything going on right now? I know that there are some restrictions in place from the NCAA.
Well, it can be difficult. There are restrictions as far as from their own individual embassies. For Elvis, in her case, we recruited her for the fall, and she wasn't allowed to come out of her country. Her visa was declined, and was very heartbreaking for her and sad for me as a coach. And I empathize with her situation. And we just, as they say, took the milkshake, restored it, and tried again for the spring. So she had to reapply to the university. They transferred most of her fall acceptance information over to the spring season, and she went back to the same embassy. The Venezuelan embassy was closed, and so they had to go through Colombia. She was rejected initially because Colombia said, well, you have no obligation to come back to our country, so we're going to decline. But she went back to Colombia again, same information. She was given favor. She was allowed to come. It's not as difficult. It's a longer process when you're recruiting international players. I'm becoming the international coach recruiting specialist at this university. But it's a long process. They not only have to go through the application process like every other student, but then they have an international process where the I-20 has been given to them. They have to, but first show their financials, and then, then that information goes to the embassy, and the embassy grants them an interview. But they just can't apply like most students can to the university. They have to go through what's called a high school transcript evaluation, where whatever country they're from, those grades are converted into the American standard as far as education is concerned. And North Carolina has a requirement as well. It does help when you recruit smart players. I think we average, we've been coming in second behind golf as far as GPA is concerned. My players are graduating now. Initially, we were When I first arrived, we were struggling with the APR points, but thus far we've been averaging 1,000 for the last 5 to 6 semesters. So I'm pretty proud of that. Our record doesn't reflect how good this team is, mainly because in North Carolina, this is the state of the tennis. This is a college state, and so we, unlike most colleges, we get to play NC State. We play Duke. We play Wake Forest. We play Chapel Hill. We play, and those teams are ranked in the nation, and we play them. You can tell when you're getting better. Initially, they'll play you in a doubleheader, but when you get respect, they start playing you head to head. And that was the case with NC State this year. I think we scared them the last time we played them. And so we're making progress. International players, if you look at any roster in the nation, just any, meeny, mighty, mo, any college program, and you'll find that there are more international players on the roster, men and women, than any other American player or any state player of whatever that state that college is in.
Coach, I wanted to ask you real quick, at a school like North Carolina A&T, lower resource Division I, do you believe that you have to get an abundance of international kids to compete, or do you feel like there can be a pretty good mixture of American and international kids where you can be successful?
Well, I'm going to tell you some hard facts, and it might be, because I get questions from the alumni. I graduated from HBCU, Johnson C. Smith University, and I played, and our teams were very successful. Nowadays, depending on the state that your university is, pickings are slim for talent. As I try to express to the athletic department. North Carolina is a college town. So I'm competing, before we get on the court, I'm competing in the recruiting arena. And you have a lot of colleges for talented tennis players to choose from. And a lot of times they judge not your coaching ability, but they look at your facility, look at your strength of schedule, and some even go so far as looking at your UTR score, Universal Tennis Rating, as far as your players are concerned. They take an average and they say, oh, my UTR is higher than that. I can probably make that team. So all of those factors, or the normal factors, is facilities and opportunities and budgets. Those play in. And so then you have something that may or may not make any sense to you guys, but I was on the other side of developing, putting players into universities, and our goal was to play on the Division I, for our players to play on the Division I level. And the average parent for tennis spends anywhere from $60,000 to $120,000 by the time that child starts playing at the age of 6 up until the time they go off to college. We're talking about tennis lessons, private lessons, Gatorade, new rackets, all of this stuff, traveling to tournaments. And so after, at least the consensus was in my town in Charlotte, that you didn't want them to go to the HBCU, basically. HBCU tennis had gotten a stigma of it being inferiority programs. And I actually came here to prove them wrong. I came to this university to prove them wrong, and to make this university a place where, if you want to go to the next level in pros, then you want to stop through A&T. That's my goal. That's the reason why I'm here. That is my heart. It's been not a struggle. I expect it to be not easy. But explaining the whole dynamics of this sport has been my most difficult challenge. And then more dynamics involved than people may understand and know. It's something as simple as 50-game roster with one coach, 50 matches with one coach, 9 matches per match, singles and doubles, 450 matches a year. Unlike whatever season that any other coach would have, I'm responsible for each court because it's played individually. And I can only coach between points and have 30 seconds to open my mouth and close it before the next ball is put in play. So international players are more mature as far as the game. They play on slower surfaces, which is clay, and they have a different system of development than we have here in America. And the processes are different. We have a result-oriented system here in America, and most come from a process-oriented system overseas. And that brings about a more solid player. Like Basil said, he's getting his reps in. Well, that's different from going out there and hitting the ball. He's consciously aware that he has to hit the ball a certain way, a certain amount of time.
Coach, what does the move to the Big South do for your program?
Nothing. It really doesn't do anything. I've been told, oh, maybe to give you a better chance to recruiting other players or in their mind, higher caliber players. But it really doesn't do anything. We may be the most prepared program at the university to make the transition because we play Radford. We've already played, we play Presbyterian, we played Gardner-Webb, we played a lot of Winthrop, we played Big South teams already, and we're competitive with them already. We're not where I would like the team to be. We're headed there. We had our best chance this year. We had 2 solid teams that full of players that on the women's side, I had like 5 out of 6 players that could play one. And then on the men's side, I have top 4. We're picking teams off. We're picking players off. We're going to start picking teams off. But Basil has good wins on his belt. He got clinched at the NC State match. We were short of people, and so the match it ended. Clinches like when they get 4 points, the match is over. And Basil, I think were you leading? You won the first set. What was your score in the second? Are you muted? Yeah.
I mean, I was up a set and then 4-1, but in my mind, I knew they were gonna clinch it, so I started rushing, and then we're 1 set all, and they clinched the match.
Yeah. A clinch is once you get to 4, the match stops. Not another point, not another ball in play, and that's difficult when you're not solid 1 through 6. But we understand that with Division I. But we've been very competitive against. I got a fist bump after that NC State match. He was like, "Coach, man, you came at us." I said, "Well, that's what we do. That's what Aggies do. That's what we do. We're not just coming here to play you and try. We're coming to beat you." And he liked that. So that's why we get a lot of invitations to play Duke and Apple Hill. Wake Forest ranked number 2 in the nation. And my first year, we scared them. We were up in 1, 2, and 3 doubles, 5-4, 5-4, and we were up in 3 doubles, 5-3. And then they came back and won 6-3. And somebody said, "What happened?" I said, "Well, Wake Forest woke up." They realized they were Wake Forest. They were about to get a little butt whooping, and then they snapped into game mode. So you have a lot to be proud about our as far as having a tennis program in the university. And you don't have to ask me. You can pick any of the coaches and the teams we play against, and they'll tell you that we represent the MEAC well. Our record doesn't reflect how good we are, mainly because I have a very tough schedule. I play top teams. If you want to become the best, you got to beat the best. You got to play the best. And so that's how we do. We play a tough schedule, very tough schedule. One coach said, "I envy your schedule. I wish I could do that." Well, we can because we're in North Carolina, and we have a reputation of competitiveness, respect for other programs, good sportsmanship, and we respect the officials, which is rare in D1 tennis. Your officials don't like to referee other teams, and they tell me, but they love and enjoy refereeing our teams when we play against whoever we play against.
Flora Elvis, can you take us through the process of you coming to North Carolina A&T, what that was like? When is the first time you ever heard of North Carolina A&T? Can you take us through that process of what that was like for you coming from Venezuela to the States?
Yeah, it was really hard to get here. Honestly, since I was like 12 years old, this was my goal to come to the US to study. And I decided A&T because like 3 years ago there was another Venezuelan girl on the team. So I knew her and I was like, how is A&T? And she liked it. So I was like, yes, it's probably a good idea to go to A&T. So I started talking to Coach Crushfield and it sounds good. It was a good idea. But as I said, the situation in my country is really hard. So the American embassy was closed, and I have to travel to Colombia the first time for the American embassy and my visa and stuff, my visa and stuff. And they denied it the first time. So it was a really shock because I was ready to come on full. I was so excited. I worked hard. I got a good GPA from my high school, and they denied it. It was not my decision. So I have to wait and do all the process again, talk to coach, and he really supported me and gave me the strength to keep trying and fight for coming back. So I tried again and they approved it, and that's what I'm here. But it was really tough. Like, I wasn't expecting that they denied it the first time, honestly. But yes.
Tell us, Flora Elvis, what the strengths of your game is. What are the things that you do well, and what it's been like for you since being here at A&T, and then also tell us what your major is.
My major is management. I'm a student in international management. And my strengths in the sport, I think, is mentally. I really strong when I'm playing. I'm just thinking about what should I do, and I try to always keep fighting and don't give up during the matches. And in technique, is my serve and maybe my backhand. So that's what I say.
Vasil, last year you were NBAC Rookie of the Year. You were also the Athletics Department's Male Rookie of the Year. Talk about last season and some of the things that you learned about playing on the collegiate level and how that transferred over to your sophomore season.
Yeah, so my freshman year, I would say he was pretty successful. And honestly, I came with the expectation of playing a really high level of tennis. And as the season started, I realized that the competition is really high. And especially in spring break, I think that was our breakthrough moment when the assistant coach, Dejan Bivens, helped me a lot. And after that, I improved my game a lot. The transitioning from freshman to sophomore, I would say I improved my game a lot, and I have a better idea of how college tennis is played. So yeah.
What is it like for both of you to play against these top 10 programs in the country? I mean, Duke, Chapel Hill, Wake Forest, to be able to play against them, is that a good test to see where you are and what you need to improve on as you go into MEAC play?
Yeah, personally, I think, honestly, I really like playing against these big schools because in my eyes, I see that they're kind of underestimating us. And let's say my last match was against NC State, and the guy had 3 coaches on his court. Everybody was concerned, and I love that. Everybody was scared that I'm gonna beat them. And I think that it helps us to compare our level to the bigger schools. And playing these matches before the season starts or before the conference match start is really helpful, because after that I think we have the confidence and then our games improve.
Yeah, for me, it's the same. I really like to play against these big schools because it's more challenge for us and we can prove ourselves and as a team to the other universities. So I really like it too.
Well, for as a coach, my mindset is tennis. You know, you hear people saying you put the pants on the same way you put your pants on. Tennis is actually just tennis. Yeah, you have a big school or you have a ranked school. I find that they're ranked mainly because they're balanced from 1 to 6. But they can be defeated. I mean, it's not like, I'm not just saying that. I mean, people might not believe that, but they can be beaten. We've done that before. Hampton ran through when it was not a D1, D2. The old school days in the 70s, Hampton was dominant. In the NAIA, which was now the D1, and then they won the CIAA and the NAIA. From a coach of mine, they were dominant when he coached at St. Aul, and when he coached at Gardner Webb, Coach Madre. It's been done before. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that they're that good. What I find that Division I tennis is like playing against a bully. And when Evander Holyfield was asked how did he defeat Mike Tyson, he said, well, you have to step to him. You have to get up in him. He has this jab or punch that if you're away from him, he can use his body and lunge at you and knock you out. So you have to get into him to take away his strength. In other words, you have to step to a bully. And that's what we've seen. When we have, some of these teams win mainly because of intimidation, because people buy into the lie that they're a better program because of their facilities and because of their coaching, because of their talent. And that's not true. We're all are recruiting from the same pool, which happened to be an international pool. Vasil could have gone to any one of those schools. He's playing for us. But he could have gone to any of those schools. Matter of fact, when he plays, they sound like, I don't know if anybody ever whispered in his ear about transferring, but we have talent. We just basically need developmental time, and we need the support that it takes to build a quality program. And it's not financial support. I mean, we can make do. I've done so much with so little for so long. I can do anything but nothing. You heard that phrase? It's not that. It's not that. It's just time. We need patience. We need time. I'll let this thing, let it develop into something that can be very, very attractive for other players that come to this university. School is beautiful. I don't see why they wouldn't want to come. Our academics is high, and I don't see why they wouldn't want to come if they want a good education. And our goal is to make tennis the preferred place to come to a college experience through a program that's going to play top teams and very competitive and a winning program. But all those things take time, and so we'll see. I don't know. We're running out of time, running out of patience, but it just doesn't happen overnight. There's a lot of other things that you have to overcome before you can get to the point where now you're smooth sailing and beginning to get a reputation. Repetition will also help with your reputation. I mean, you're consistently doing the same thing each year.
All right, we got time for just a little bit of this or that real quickly. And so we'll start with the young folks here. We'll start with Vasil. Prefer Netflix or Hulu?
Netflix.
What about you, Florels?
Netflix.
Netflix, okay. Cardio or weights?
I'll say weights.
Weights too.
Dog or cat?
Dog.
Cats.
All right, got a cat lady over here. All right, hot chocolate or coffee?
Hot chocolate.
Coffee.
All right, Coach, here's the last one for you. A good serve or a good backhand?
A good serve.
Guys, we want to thank you for joining us here on the Pridecast. We appreciate it. Wish you all the best in the future. We hope you guys will get back on the court and compete real soon, and hope you're able to get to your loved ones real soon as well. Thank you for joining us.